Hey guys, how's it going? So my thoughts on Jeremy possibly buying High Tide. So last night he made a video saying my next $1 million stock, uh, and he talked about High Tide in that video. I literally when that video came out, and then people were messaging me all night. I literally just went onto his new video and I watched it, and I specifically skipped every single stock he talked about except for High Tide. I just skipped all the way down to High Tide.
2 billion in.
So I believe, yeah, right here. So he talks about High Tide right here, and I really think that this is awesome because he's doing his research, and if he buys into High Tide, then that will give even more exposure to High Tide. All I really care about at the end of the day is the business. And yes, if you didn't know, I went out and I bought a little bit more High Tide today. So yeah, I'm a bigger shareholder. I mean, like, I'm definitely a shareholder in High Tide, but I just bought another chunk into High Tide simply because Jeremy gave it a ton of exposure, and I think that the stock is heading higher. And on top of that, there's also another big piece of news that Organigram surged on UK tobacco giant buying a 20% stake in Organigram. So there has been a lot of companies lately, like Alteria buying $2.4 billion in Kronos, Imperial Brands investing $123 million in Oxley. So obviously there is MJ is a big business, and the big giant players know that. So I feel like High Tide could get a deal in the future if they wanted to. If they wanted to have a big giant company come in and make a big investment into them, like Organigram, or Fire and Flower had a big investment by Couch Kucha Tard. So obviously there's big money that is eyeing this industry, and High Tide, and I feel like High Tide has Aurora, Afria as an investor. They are the leader in Canada. They're the leader in the United States, in e-commerce, and possibly even Europe too, worldwide. They are in such a big business, and according to Raja Grove, he is aggressively expanding into the United States. He's aggressively expanding into Europe. He is, wants to maintain his position as the leader in Canada. So, as a long-term investment, I don't feel like you can go wrong buying into High Tide. And if Jeremy buys into High Tide, that would just give him more exposure to High Tide. Short term. Long term, I don't think Jeremy even matters. I think as long as Roger Grove continues to execute on his strategy, it continues to be a profitable company, I feel like more and more money will flow into High Tide and push the stock higher and higher and higher in the future. And I still feel like at 75 cents, it's still a discount. And yes, you might deal with reverse split, but the CEO did say that, if the company stock price can grow naturally, he might even avoid the reverse split, and he might even not do a reverse split. But you know what? I would actually prefer High Tide to do a reverse split to make the float tighter and reduce the amount of shares. That's what I would prefer. Even though I am a shareholder, I would prefer them to do a little bit of a reverse split, maybe even like a 3-1 reverse split or a 4-1 reverse split, just to reduce the amount of shares they have in the company. As a shareholder, I'm totally for that, but They have to list on the Nasdaq. They have to get onto that Nasdaq, and I would be absolutely fine with a reverse split. That, like I said, big money is involved in the MJ industry right now, like Organigram, you know, and then we got Altera, we got what's that company called again? Constellation brand putting $5 billion into Canopy, and then Altera 2.4, Imperial Brands 123 million into Oxley, and then we got Fire and Flower. So obviously, big money is looking at this space in a serious way. Else we would have these kind of big investments. So do I think High Tide is a good investment long term? Absolutely. Do I think Raja Grove will continue to execute on his strategy and become a giant company in the future? I think so. But, you know, and the fact that Jeremy is giving High Tide exposure is only a good thing. So I feel like High Tide could be a really big winner long term. And I'm a shareholder. You know, the only thing that will take High Tide down is a stock market crash, but it doesn't look like a market crash is coming anytime soon. It only looks like the stock market is going to head higher and higher and higher. So, you know, I feel like this is a good opportunity to load up on some shares, especially with Jeremy being bullish on it. Might be bullish on it. He might buy it. He might not. No. It doesn't matter. It's too late. He gave exposure to High Tide. I mean, it would be nice if he bought into it. That would bring in investor confidence into the company, because that would bring in retail confidence, because retail investors, they look up to Jeremy, and if Jeremy bought into High Tide, a lot more people would be interested in High Tide, because they're like, oh look, Jeremy is thinking that High Tide is a good long-term investment, and a lot of people watch him. I feel like he will make High Tide very popular, and he will help the brand be more recognizable, because Jeremy has a big following. So I don't know what the market is going to do, but like I said, I like High Tide for the long term. I'm an investor, and I plan to hold them for the next couple years at least for the next couple years, just to see how the business develops, because High Tide will be one of the biggest beneficiary when the United States become federally legal, and they already working on aggressively moving into the United States. So only time will tell, but I like High Tide. I like the industry, and I feel like big money is throwing a lot of cash at it right now. So, yeah. ACB up another 29 cents today. Village Farms up 5.657% today, and I am an investor in Village Farms, and I gotta tell you that weed sucks. So if you don't want to buy Village Farms, that's okay. But Village Farms is another one that I think could be a really big winner, because they could be one of the biggest producers in the world, especially with Organigram getting an investment. Oh man, Village Farms could easily get a big investment into them by a big player. Afria up another 53 cents today, 2.37%. View Glass, they have big investors like SoftBank and the Singapore government. So the market is green, but the The market doesn't right now. They don't want to award like the market. You know, like View has to prove itself. It has to prove itself to investors that they can become a giant company in the future. They have to prove to investors that they can be profitable, and I feel like View stock can 5x, 3x, 10x from here, but only time will tell. I mean, I'm planning to hold View long term, and if the market keeps going up, I think money will eventually speculate into View becoming a big company, but they have to prove themselves. They have to show investors that they can bring down their expenses, they can bring down their cost of sales, and they can become gross profitable in the future. If they can do that, I think this company stock will explode to the upside in a big way. But short term, this is only a buying opportunity in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. Roblox today is, look at Roblox. They're valued at $40 billion. $40 billion today. So I don't actually might be even more. Why can't I find the Roblox? $38.33 billion. People are like, oh, but Roblox has such a big market, addressable market. So does View Glass. They have an extremely big addressable market. Everything needs Windows. But nope. Nobody cares about View. I do. I care about View. I only think that the lower the price goes, the more of an opportunity it becomes. So, and it looks like it's stabilizing. But who knows? At the end of the day, the market will do what the market will do. But I believe in that company long term. Yeah. Anyways, and Tesla is up today, up 2.69%, 3.72%. NIO is up 6.5%. Ride is up 5.29%. So yeah, well, everything is good today. Anyways, that's all I really have to say in my video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for future updates and have a great day. Bye.